You do not need to wander far to find the answer to a fulfilled life, for the entire mechanism of creation has already been programmed within you. The universe does not respond to your words, but to the vibration you release. And in every moment of life, you are not merely the observer of reality, you are the one who creates it. This series of stories does not bring you a new doctrine, but rather a map guiding you back to the divine wisdom that has always been dormant within. From vibration to visualization, from emotion to belief, from the act of relinquishing control to the art of receiving each part, is a piece of the puzzle reminding you that you are not the result of circumstances. You are the cause of reality. And from the very moment you realign with that power, your life ceases to be a chain of reactions and becomes a purposeful, clear, and inspired flow. The universe is a mirror of vibration. It does not respond to the words you speak, but to the frequency you are living in. Every phenomenon you experience is not a random sequence of events, but an accurate expression of a simple yet extraordinary mechanism. The mirror of vibration. This is the very nature of how the universe operates. Every thought you sustain, every emotion you nurture, every belief you silently carry radiates a specific field of energy. And the universe, like a mirror that cannot lie, can only reflect back the frequency you emit. No additions, no subtractions, no favoritism, no exceptions. You may think you are living in a material world, but the deepest essence of reality is not form. It is frequency. Before any event occurs, it has already been nourished within the field of energy you are sending out, not through words, not through outward action, but through the inner vibration within you. If you live in worry, even if your lips speak of trust, the true vibration is still one of anxiety. And that is exactly what the universe will silently record and respond to, not with words, but through circumstances, people, and events. People often believe that prayer is how we communicate with the universe. Yet a prayer spoken from fear or from a sense of lack is only a signal declaring that you are living in absence. On the other hand, when you walk with complete faith, even without words, the universe understands. That understanding does not arise from language, but from the state of being you radiate every second. Imagine a person entering a room without speaking a word, yet their very presence makes others feel lighter, safer, uplifted. That person does nothing special, but the vibration they carry is already a form of unspoken message. The universe perceives you in the same way, not through resumes, achievements, or written wishes, but through the totality of energy you live in, moment by moment. And when you grasp this truth, you begin to change the way you communicate with life. You stop complaining about circumstances and start listening to what within you has created them. You cease blaming the outside world and begin adjusting the inner world. The essence of reality is not determined by events themselves, but by your vibrational response to those events. Two people lose their jobs. One collapses in fear. The other sees a chance for a new beginning. And the world reflects two completely different realities, not because of luck, but because of vibration. The universe does not choose to favor anyone. It simply operates by the principle of resonance. That is why you can be in the same place, doing the same work, yet one person feels trapped while another expands. Reality is not absolute, but fluid, shaped by the signals you emit. When you stop trying to control circumstances and start observing yourself as a broadcasting tower, you step into the level of conscious creation. You are no longer just a reactor. You become an initiator, not by force, but by presence, not by struggle, But by alignment, the essential question is no longer how to achieve something, but how to become the frequency of that very thing. You do not need to strain to prove your worth. For the moment, you carry the frequency of worthiness. All that corresponds will naturally find its way to you. Just as a radio cannot transmit two different frequencies at the same time, you cannot radiate doubt and expect certainty in return. You cannot hold the vibration of lack and expect to live in abundance. And you cannot live in fear and expect to receive perfect love. The universe is not persuaded by what you say you want. It only reflects what you are truly becoming. So stop asking why life has not changed. Ask instead whether you have changed the frequency within yourself. For when you step into a different state, the world must follow. No force required. No struggle necessary. The moment you emit a new signal, the mirror will reflect a new image. And that is when you begin to understand that you do not need to speak to the universe in the ordinary sense, for you are already speaking to it every day, every hour, through the way you think, feel, and exist. There is never a moment when you are not broadcasting something, and never a moment when the universe is not recording and responding. If you desire a different life, you do not need to learn how to say more. You need to learn how to be silent in the right place. The place where frequency is born, the place where true vibration begins. And that place is nowhere outside of you. Everything is energy and vibration. Have you ever paused in the midst of life's busyness, closed your eyes in silence, and asked yourself what truly forms everything around you? It is not the name you give it, nor the shape you see, but what lies at the very core of all things energy. And if everything is energy, including yourself, then what is vibrating within you right now? This question is not for the intellect to answer. It is for a deeper part of you, a part that does not need words to understand, but is sensitive enough to feel a truth unfolding. The material world is only an outer shell. The true structure of the universe is not form, but the frequency vibrating behind it. Every object you see is made of smaller particles, and those particles are never still. They vibrate, they move, they emit signals. An entire universe, from planets to leaves, from stars to your most silent thoughts, all is energy waves in motion. Nothing is ever truly at rest. And within this movement, an invisible symphony arises, a grand rhythm, not heard with the ears, but felt within the field of energy that surrounds you. Quantum science has confirmed what ancient sages intuitively knew long ago. Matter is energy in formation, and human consciousness can influence it. To observe a thing is no longer a passive act, but an intervention in its state of existence. What does this mean? It means you are not merely living in a vibrational reality. You are actively shaping how that vibration manifests into life. You are not standing outside the play. You are at its very core. Frequency is not something distant, reserved only for physicists. It is the texture of your everyday experience. When you feel joy, lightness, gratitude, your body radiates a high frequency. When you fall into fear, resentment, or guilt, the frequency drops. What you attract, perceive, and experience resonates with that frequency, not because you are lucky or unlucky, but because the universe is responding to the vibration you are sending out. Some people ask, why do I keep falling into the same situations, meeting the same kinds of people, living through the same painful stories? The answer is not outside. It lies in the energy waves. You have forgotten. You are broadcasting. The world is not repeating itself to wound you, but to show you what you are sending out. Reality does not betray you, it reflects you. And if everything is vibration, here is the miracle. You can choose again. You do not need to change the world. You only need to change the signal you send to the world. Just like a radio does not need new parts to play a different song, it only needs to adjust the frequency. When you choose to emit a new vibration, everything in resonance with it will begin to appear. This is not a philosophical idea. This is the very principle of how consciousness and matter operate. A person carrying the vibration of faith, even without saying a word, makes others feel secure. A person living in gratitude, even with little, opens the channels of abundance. High vibration does not wait for wealth before it rises. High vibration is what leads you to wealth, health, love, and peace. You can begin right now. You do not need to wait for something to happen before you shift your frequency. Shift your frequency, and then watch what unfolds. Live as though you are already vibrating with the reality you desire. Think, I feel, and act as though you have already become that version of yourself. For the truth is, you cannot enter a reality you are not in harmony with, and here you are listening, feeling, and walking on the journey back to your true vibrational nature. I want you to know that your presence here is no accident. You are resonating with a new frequency, opening the door to a life no longer ruled by unconscious habit, but consciously created by choice. I thank you for being here, for choosing to listen, because in the moment you choose to understand that everything is energy. You are no longer passive. You are a co-creator with the power to tune the frequency of your own being. And from that moment on, that you begin to converse with the universe, not with words, but with the very presence of who you are. Emotions are the amplifiers of frequency. The frequency you emit does not arise only from your thoughts, but is powerfully shaped by the emotions you are experiencing. If thought is the transmission, then emotion is the amplifier, the living energy that fuels that signal. A thought without emotion is a weak wave, easily disturbed, leaving little imprint upon the field of energy. But when a thought is infused with a distinct emotion, whether positive or negative, it becomes a powerful vibrational command sent into the structure of reality. You may say hundreds of times that you believe that you are worthy, that you are living in abundance, but if the emotions within you are radiating worry, doubt, disappointment, or fear, then that is what the universe listens to. For the universe does not respond to words, but to the actual level of energy you carry, and that level is not determined by language, but by emotion. A person who repeats positive affirmations every morning while secretly harboring doubt cannot attract what they desire, because the true signal is not in the words spoken, but in the vibration pulsing beneath them. Conversely, someone who does not speak much, but nurtures deep gratitude daily, will see life respond with experiences that match that vibration. Emotion is the inner confirmation of whether you truly believe what you think. It is the most direct evidence of your inner state. You do not need to measure energy waves to know what frequency you are broadcasting. Simply ask, how do I feel right now? For the answer reveals what you are resonating with in the universe. This is also why the strongest desires often carry the deepest emotions. A desire born of love, clarity, and sincere faith will swiftly shape itself into manifestation. In contrast, a desire born of lack, fear, or envy will only generate more situations that intensify that lack, fear, or envy. For emotion is the fuel that steers reality. You do not need to feel joyful every moment, but you must understand that emotion is the truest indicator of what you are creating. If you find yourself repeating an experience, it may be that you are repeating an emotional state within that you have not yet recognized, and you will not escape that cycle until you change the quality of the emotions you are nurturing. When you shift your emotions, you shift your vibration, When your vibration shifts, reality must change. The key is not to deny negative emotions, but to recognize them as guidance and then consciously adjust. You cannot suppress fear, but you can bring awareness into that fear and thereby transform your response to it. You do not need to pretend to be positive. You need to be honest with yourself. And from that honesty, choose the emotions you wish to cultivate, not those your past has programmed into you. Positive emotions are not merely pleasant states. They are powerful tools to reset your entire personal field. A single moment of genuine gratitude can lift you out of a chaotic day. A moment of heartfelt forgiveness can release years of tension. These emotions are not decorative paints upon life, but primal waves that influence how the universe rearranges possibilities around you. And emotions, like muscles, can be trained. When you practice embodying positive states, even before circumstances change, you are recalibrating your vibration. You do not wait for reality to bring you peace in order to feel it. You feel peace to reshape reality. You do not wait to be loved in order to feel abundant. You feel abundant to become lovable, for you do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. If you truly understand that emotion is the amplifier of frequency, you will begin to treat yourself differently. You will no longer see emotions as reactions to circumstances, but as active tools to design the future. And then you will no longer need to force the universe to listen to you, for you will know that with even the slightest shift in emotion, the entire universe will adjust itself to reflect what you are radiating, not through argument, but through the subtle resonance you are consciously creating in every moment, the misalignment between words and vibration. There is a subtle truth most people overlook. You can speak the right words, even words filled with inspiration, and yet create no movement at all in reality. You may repeat hundreds of positive affirmations each day, fill pages of journals with goals and dreams, and still see no shift in your life. This is not because you have not tried hard enough, but because of a gap. You have not yet seen the misalignment between words and vibration. Words are surface structures, while vibration is the deeper foundation. If words do not arise from a corresponding inner state, they are nothing more than hollow echoes in an unsynchronized space. The universe does not respond to syllables, but to energy signals. When you say that you deserve something good, but deep inside still doubt your worth, the vibration you emit is one of lack, not abundance, and that frequency will be reflected back as delays, obstacles, or the repetition of undesired circumstances. Many people get stuck in repeating affirmations and wonder why they do not work. The problem is not that the affirmations are wrong, but that they are spoken from a vibrational layer that is not aligned. They say they want love, but inside they are still carrying wounds left unhealed. They say they want wealth, but their true emotions are fear, anxiety, and insecurity. And so what they receive is not what they say, but what they feel, and are becoming. Reality is a vibrational reflection, not a logical result of words. You may memorize advanced techniques, read hundreds of self-help books, yet if you cannot synchronize your words with the frequency you are actually transmitting, you will always circle back to the same point, asking why you know so much and yet nothing changes. The answer does not lie in knowing more, but in aligning deeper. Emotion acts as a filter. Every word that passes through emotion is either amplified or cancelled. A word spoken with belief becomes a powerful vibrational command. But the same word, when repeated in doubt, insecurity, or forcefulness, loses its effect. It is like broadcasting from a transmitter filled with static. The message is unclear, and the response becomes distorted. Observe those who truly attract what they desire. They do not speak about it much, but they live as if it already exists. They do not cling to rigid affirmations, but their actions, attitudes, and inner state are all synchronized with that reality. They do not need to persuade others or even persuade themselves. They have simply become the vibration of what they choose. And because of that, without pushing or pulling, everything aligned naturally finds its way to them. On the other hand, when you force yourself to say positive things while carrying unease inside, resistance arises automatically. You may feel uncomfortable saying affirmations, feel artificial, or worse, feel disappointed after speaking so much with no results. That disappointment itself becomes a strong vibrational signal, and the cycle repeats. The solution is not to stop speaking, but to begin listening to what is truly being broadcast from within, instead of repeating words without a solid emotional foundation. Take time to adjust your inner state first. When you truly feel gratitude, then speak words of thanks. When you genuinely feel worthy, then speak of wealth. When you have healed old wounds, then open your heart to new love. In that moment, your words are no longer mere sounds, but vibrational confirmations. And the universe cannot help but respond. This is when you realize that speaking the right words is not enough. More important is living in alignment with the frequency you are choosing. Stop using words as a coat of paint to cover unresolved vibrations. Use words as a bridge to take you deeper into the inner state that matches. Let every word you speak be a resonance with what you truly are in that moment. When words and vibration are in harmony, you no longer wonder why what you desire has not yet arrived. You know that from the instant you become the truth, you speak. Everything aligned cannot help but come. No waiting, no miracle required, only the absolute synchronization of what you think, what you feel, and what you say. Vibrational alignment, the condition for manifestation. Nothing in your reality appears by accident. Every experience, every person you meet, every circumstance you live through is being summoned by an invisible vibrational field radiating from you. This is not a vague spiritual abstraction, but a fundamental operating principle of the energetic world. Whatever you are experiencing is the direct result of vibrational alignment between your inner state and the outer environment. You do not attract what you want by sheer will. You attract what you match in frequency. When people speak of manifestation, they often imagine it as a process of searching, conquering, and seizing what they desire. But in the language of vibration, manifestation does not come from striving, but from resonance. Something can only enter your life when you and it share the same frequency. No sooner, not later. If you want a new reality, you do not need to pull it toward you. You need to step into alignment with it. Reality does not appear because you force it. It appears because you become it. Becoming the vibration of what you choose is the non-negotiable condition for any manifestation. This is why some people seem to attract good things effortlessly. They are not forcing reality. They are simply resonant with what they desire. And that resonance comes from the continual fine-tuning of their frequency through thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and states of being. They are not driven into action by fear or lack, but act from a foundation of stable vibration. It is this very foundation that opens the flow where manifestation occurs as a natural consequence. On the other hand, if you are not in alignment with what you seek, then no matter how much you do, say, or write affirmations, the result will not change, not because you are unworthy, but because you and your desire are not yet in harmony. The truth is, you cannot live in the vibration of a victim and expect the reality of a creator. You cannot cultivate emotions of anxiety and demand the outcome of peace. You cannot emit the energy of scarcity and expect the manifestation of wealth. The universe does not respond to wishes, it responds to the vibration present. Alignment is a subtle process that begins within. It requires honesty with yourself, the willingness to recognize the hidden signals you are broadcasting, not what you think you believe, but what you truly feel deep in your subconscious. Alignment is not achieved through eloquent words, but through the genuine transformation of your state of being. When you truly believe you are worthy of love, you no longer chase it, because you have become the dwelling place where love naturally resides. When you live as though abundance is natural, worry about lack disappears, and financial flow begins to move in ways the intellect could never orchestrate. Each time you adjust a thought to match a positive belief, each time you choose a higher emotion instead of an old reaction, each time you act from peace rather than pressure, you step into vibrational alignment, and in doing so, that you alter the very field of interaction around you. You do not wait for circumstances to change in order to feel differently. You feel differently to create new circumstances. For reality does not change first. You change first. Reality only reflects. Vibrational alignment is not a one-time act, but a continuous refinement. Every experience is a mirror. If something unwanted appears, do not resist it. See it as a signal of what frequency needs adjusting. When you understand that every circumstance is a reflection and not a punishment, you begin to read life as a message rather than a problem. And in that moment, you become fluent in the vibrational language of the universe. You do not need to pressure yourself into perfection, but you must maintain a heightened awareness of your inner state. Ask often, what am I broadcasting right now? What emotion am I living in? Am I in harmony with what I have chosen? For manifestation does not occur because you have wished long enough. It occurs when you are no longer divided from what you desire. You do not need to imagine it as true. You need to become it within. And from that moment, the corresponding reality cannot help but arrive, not by luck, but by law, not by force of will, but by absolute resonance between what you want and who you are becoming. Observation and adjustment of the inner state. No vibrational transformation can occur unless you pause to observe yourself. Everything you emit, whether thoughts or emotions, originates from a deeper inner state you are often unaware of. And if you do not know which frequency you are living in, you cannot consciously adjust it. Awareness is the starting point of all true change. You cannot correct a signal. You do not recognize you are broadcasting, just as a musician cannot correct a mistake without listening carefully to each note. You cannot master reality without listening deeply to your own inner voice. What are you thinking when no one is watching? What do you feel when you no longer need to appear fine? What do you silently tell yourself in moments absent of external noise? These are the states that create the vibration you radiate daily. Reality is not built from rare intentional thoughts, but from repeated vibrational patterns running in the unconscious. If you do not observe, you will live on default, and that default is rarely programmed to manifest what you truly desire. It simply reflects what you once believed, once experienced, once feared, or once endured. Observing the inner world is not about disconnecting from life, but about reclaiming mastery over the frequency you broadcast. You cannot stop communicating with the universe. You can only choose to communicate consciously or unconsciously. And if you wish to shift circumstances, you must first recognize what is truly operating within you. When you look honestly at yourself, you will realize many thoughts you repeat are not because they are true, but because they are familiar. Many emotions no longer serve you, yet you hold on because they have become extensions of the old self. But the old self cannot create a new reality. To shift frequency, You must dare to ask, does the state I am living in truly serve the reality I am moving toward? This is not a journey of controlling emotions, but of befriending yourself. Each time you return to observe, you are gathering scattered energy and bringing it back to center. And from that stillness, you can choose again, redirect, and adjust. You are no longer governed by old reflexes. You are living from a space of awareness. This is the power of the voice within, not merely a sound you hear, but a space to which you return. It is the quiet voice that needs no words, yet is always present. It does not strive to prove, does not argue with the world, but it is the place from which you release a new vibration. Adjustment does not come from force. It arises from becoming more refined in your dialogue with yourself. When you notice a negative thought, do not resist it. Ask instead, why am I thinking this? What emotion is arising? And where did I learn it? Do I wish to continue choosing it? With these questions, you are no longer a victim of the subconscious. You are its reprogrammer. And each time you choose a new emotion, a new thought, a new perspective, you generate a new vibrational signal. The universe does not wait for you to be perfect before it responds. It only requires that you be truthful and consistent in your adjustments. You may not transform everything in one stroke, but each act of recognition and adjustment shifts the old track and lays a new one. As this adjustment becomes habit, you will clearly see that your emotions are no longer chaotic, your thoughts no longer swept away by circumstances, and you begin to live with a calm sense of authorship. You do not need to strain to be in control, for you are becoming the source of the vibration you send. This is your deepest power. It does not lie in noisy actions outside, but in quiet refinements within, and from here, you begin to see life differently. Situations that once triggered you become data to observe. People who once wounded you become signals of what needs adjusting. There is no longer the burden of right or wrong, only the question, does this help me maintain the state I have chosen? And if not, can I choose again? The answer is always yes. When you walk with this awareness, you no longer live by default. You live by choice. Every emotion you hold, every thought you nurture, every state you sustain becomes a brick in the foundation of a new vibrational reality. And you know, from the deepest place within, that you no longer need to wait for the world to change. You need only return to the inner space, listen to that silent yet powerful voice, and let your subtle presence guide life into an entirely new rhythm, elevating vibration through simple practices. Not every vibrational shift requires lofty rituals or complex methods. In truth, it is the simple, consistent practices that create the most lasting transformation in your energy field. For vibration does not come from explosive moments, but from the steady current you hold each day. Every small act, when done with presence and intention, has the power to upgrade the frequency in which you live. And it is the subtlety of how you live that truly rewrites the entire script of your life. High vibration does not come from struggling to avoid negative emotions, but from consciously choosing to nurture positive states. Just as a room does not need to push away darkness, but only to light a lamp, you do not need to battle fear. You need only choose the opposite feeling and practice it until it becomes your dominant vibration. And the easiest, most effective light to kindle is gratitude. Gratitude is the most powerful catalyst for raising your frequency without requiring any external condition. When you truly feel grateful, you cannot at the same time live in lack or resentment. The energy of gratitude immediately lifts your vibration to a higher plane, where you begin to resonate with experiences of abundance. This practice demands nothing but sincerity. Just a few minutes each morning or evening spent writing down 3 things you are grateful for, feeling their presence in your life. and silently giving thanks is enough to move you into higher resonance without any further technique. Another practice that expands vibration is the act of kindness. When you do good for another without expecting return, you step out of the narrow structure of the ego and into a wider stream of higher energy. Unconditional kindness is the expression of an expanded heart, and such a heart emits a pure frequency. The universe always hears. Small gestures, listening to someone deeply, helping without seeking recognition, or silently blessing another, raise your vibrational current without the need for speeches. Similarly, forgiveness is a great doorway that releases you from heavy vibrations of resentment, hurt, and resistance. Forgiveness is not absolving others, but liberating yourself from the energy field that binds you. When you choose to release old energies, and you cleanse your field and make room for the new to enter, and this shift does not happen through force, but through a quiet yet profound decision that you are ready for a higher experience. Beyond inner practices, the physical activities also play an essential role in stabilizing and raising vibration. The body is not separate from energy, it is the channel through which energy flows into the whole system of life. A body that rarely moves accumulates stagnant energies that slow vibration. Simple actions like walking in nature, gentle exercise, deep breathing, or even drinking sufficient water, eating fresh food, and resting well are effective ways to keep your field clear and flexible. Another practice that raises vibration, though it seems simple, is intentional silence. In silence, you hear your true rhythm, quiet the noise of the world, and allow deeper waves to rise. Just a few minutes a day without devices, without response, in presence with your breath, can be enough to reset your entire energetic field. Silence is not absence, but the foundation for clearer communication with yourself and with the universe. We cannot overlook one of the most familiar yet misunderstood practices, visualization. When you visualize not merely to imagine, but to feel, you bring your intention into a living field of energy. If you can feel joy, peace, or love while visualizing, the image is no longer fantasy. It is a real vibration being broadcast. And when that vibration is strong and consistent enough, manifestation is no longer something you wait for, it is inevitable. All of these practices, though simple, share one essence. They return you to your energetic center, where you cease to be a passive recipient of circumstances and become the conscious broadcaster of the reality you wish to live. You do not need to do them all at once. Choose one, practice it consistently, practice it with presence, and let it become your new rhythm. Frequency does not shift through grand effort, but through small acts lived from depth. And when you begin to live as though your vibration itself is the message sent into the universe, you will see that life is no longer a place to wait for miracles. You are the source from which the miracle radiates. With every step, every breath, every subtle act, you are elevating vibration without searching outside. You are living transformation, not in theory, but in the way you show up in life itself. Consistent vibration creates results. Every vibration you emit is recorded, but not every vibration produces a clear result in reality. What makes the difference is not the intensity of a single moment, but the consistency. Just as a sound creates resonance only when sustained at the same frequency, reality changes only when your vibration is held steadily over time. Transformation does not come from fleeting emotions, but from stable, repeated states. Consistency of vibration is the most powerful signal you can send. Many have experienced a brief surge of light during visualization, feeling that they have shifted, elevated their vibration, stepped into a new frequency, Yet hours later, they return to old states, swept back into worry, doubt, and familiar reactions, and they wonder why manifestation does not arrive, why results remain the same. The answer lies here. Their vibration is not stable enough to create resonance. The universe does not respond to momentary peaks of positivity, but to the frequency you hold most of the day, especially when you are not trying to control it. Reality does not respond to the highs, but to the baseline. You may meditate for 1 hour, but live in fear for 13. You may visualize intensely for a few minutes, but then act from lack for the rest of the day. Those brief higher vibrations cannot create breakthroughs because they do not become the dominant signal. True vibration is the vibration that prevails. And if you want your life to truly change, you cannot depend on isolated moments. You must build a stable vibrational system where emotions and thoughts in alignment become your familiar rhythm. This does not mean you must live in constant high positivity. It means you must live in consistency where you can return to the desired state more easily, more quickly, whenever you fall out of rhythm. This steadiness comes from no longer letting external fluctuations fully control your inner state. Each time something unwanted occurs, you do not react unconsciously. You pause, adjust, and return to the state you choose. This ability to return is the real proof of a vibration that has stabilized. Consistent vibration is the foundation of all lasting manifestation. Just like planting a tree, you cannot flood it with water in 1 day and neglect it for weeks. It requires steady care each day. The energy field works the same way. It must be nourished consistently with supportive emotions, positive thoughts, and aligned actions. Each small choice, if consistent, reshapes the entire frequency you live in. From there, you do not need to force results, for results are the natural reaction of a system that has been reprogrammed. The truth is, the universe is never rushed, yet never delayed. It always responds honestly and precisely to the signal you send. Most often, not the signal you wish most, but the one you repeat most. Whatever is the dominant rhythm of your mind, that is what is reflected. No matter what you visualize, if you cannot sustain the state aligned with it, reality will not shift. And this is not punishment. It is an invitation to become the version of yourself truly matched with what you choose. Consistent vibration does not come from forced effort, but from subtle habits nurtured in silence. It is the habit of regularly observing your inner state, the ability to return to the present when the mind is pulled away, the daily reminder of the frequency you wish to live in. You do not need to hold a high state without break. You only need to be the one who quickly notices misalignment and returns to balance. This is stability without rigidity, flexibility with clear direction. A person of consistent vibration is not shaken by temporary changes. They do not react extremely when things go wrong, nor do they become overly elated when something good appears. They live from an inner center where every fluctuation is observed, felt, and adjusted. From this centered state, they maintain a steady field, and it is from this field that everything they choose begins to gather like a natural force of attraction. If you have ever doubted why you have followed every step, yet still see no clear results, look again at the emotional rhythm you hold most of the time. Only when vibration becomes the foundation does reality become the response. And once you begin living from a stable vibration, manifestation is no longer something you wait for. It is something you begin to live, not by sudden bursts of effort, but by the steady rhythm you choose each day. From there, everything comes without being summoned, for you have become the living signal of what you desire. No miracles needed. You are the one creating them, through the frequency you cultivate in each moment of presence, the power of emotional visualization. Visualization is not a game of imagination. It is the bridge between intention and manifestation, between the depths of the subconscious and the flow of reality. Yet not every visualization produces results. Only when visualization is infused with genuine emotion does it become a vibration strong enough to send a clear signal into the energetic field of the universe. The mind can create an image, but it is emotion that breathes life into that image. And only images lived through with emotion have the power to become reality. Many misunderstand visualization as merely picturing what they want. They close their eyes, imagine a new home, a dream job, a wonderful relationship, then open their eyes in disappointment when nothing appears. They forget that what the universe responds to is not what you imagine, but the frequency you emit while imagining. If during visualization you feel doubt, longing, or even sadness because it has not yet arrived, then the vibration you send is not of the desire fulfilled, but of its absence. The heart is where emotion is amplified most powerfully, and visualization only works when placed into the rhythm of the heart. When you visualize something as if it were already true, and you feel its presence fully, you are sending a clear signal to the universe that you have become the vibration of that reality. And it is this resonance that opens the door to manifestation. The universe does not respond to what you wish for, but to what you embody in your vibrational state. The subconscious does not distinguish between what has actually happened and what is felt deeply enough as if it has happened. When you visualize with profound emotion, you are reprogramming the subconscious, teaching it that this is familiar, possible, and already present. And once something becomes real in the subconscious, it begins to influence how you think, feel, and act, creating a chain reaction that shifts the external reality. Recall a moment when you truly dreamed of something, not for a fleeting second, but when you allowed yourself to feel it with your whole heart. Perhaps you saw yourself standing on a stage, feeling the lights, hearing the applause, sensing a wave of confidence, or perhaps it was waking up next to the one you love, smelling coffee, feeling peace without reason. If your heart warmed, if your eyes grew wet, that was true visualization, that was living vibration, and that was a signal the universe could understand. The power of emotional visualization lies in the fact that it requires no external condition. You do not need to wait for life to change in order to feel what you desire. You can step into that state here and now, the moment you close your eyes. And when you do so consistently, what you desire is no longer foreign. It becomes a natural part of the field. You radiate, and once something feels natural, it begins to take its place in your reality. It is no longer a question of when, but a certainty that it is coming, unfolding in ways you cannot predict, but always aligned. Visualization does more than reprogram the subconscious. It raises your present vibration. When you feel joy, love, or abundance through visualization, you rise above the vibration of lack. You create a new inner environment where only experiences in harmony with that state can grow. You are choosing to live first in the vibration you wish to manifest later. An effective visualization need not last hours. Just a few minutes each day with full presence is enough, not done mechanically, not rushed through as a habit. Each time you visualize, you are stepping into the new reality before it arrives. Each time you declare to the universe, I am ready. I am living it now. I am no longer waiting for it to happen. I am already in it. And this absence of waiting becomes the strongest vibration of having. You do not need to visualize many things at once. Choose one state you long to live in. Picture it vividly and specifically with sounds, images, bodily sensations. Feel the comfort spread within you as though you are already there. Let that visualization become a spiritual anchor, a place you return to whenever you need to reset your vibration. Our return strengthens belief. Each moment of genuine feeling reminds the universe that you are ready. You do not need to force reality to change. You need only let your emotions become the frequency of what you choose. From there, reality must align not through control, but through resonance, not through strain, but through stepping into the role of your highest desired self. In that moment, you are no longer merely visualizing, you are living the frequency, broadcasting the signal, and the universe, in its perfect precision, will return to you the matching reality, not early, not late, but exactly when you have truly become it. The power of clear intention. No stream of energy can be transmitted effectively without a clear direction. Just as light only becomes sharp when focused into a laser beam, the vibrational energy only produces a distinct manifestation when it is paired with a clearly defined intention. Intention is not a vague wish, nor is it a hope without foundation. Intention is your vibrational declaration to the universe. It is the spiritual blueprint from which reality reorganizes itself. When you are unsure of what you truly want, your energy scatters. You may radiate emotion. You may even hold vivid images. But without clear direction, your vibration lacks the focus to generate deep resonance. The universe does not reject your call, but if that call is vague, contradictory, or constantly shifting, the response will be faint, delayed, or fragmented. A strong intention does not arise from force, but from clarity. It need not be complicated. It only needs to be truthful and precise. Clear intention is the shift from passive wishing to active choosing. When you tell the universe, this is what I choose, this is the state I decide to live in, you step out of the role of the one who waits and into the role of the co-creator, and that changes the entire rhythm of reality around you. For once you anchor yourself firmly, every vibration you emit flows in that direction and strengthens that current. Intention is not merely a phrase in the mind, it is the inner agreement of thought, emotion, and action. It is the state where the mind ceases to argue, the heart ceases to doubt, and the body begins to move as if it were already true. You do not need to prove anything, for the consistency of the energy you radiate is the clearest proof of all. In that moment, you are no longer just imagining, you are broadcasting a specific, powerful, unmistakable signal. A clear intention always carries three elements: specificity, present tense language, and aligned emotion. You do not say, I want to live better. You say, I am living in abundance and peace each day. You do not say, I hope for a good job. You say, I am contributing value in a creative environment where I am recognized and supported. And most importantly, you do not just speak it, you feel it as though it is already happening. Clarity does not come from words alone, but from harmony between what you think and what you radiate. This is the power of the voice within, not just a sound you hear, but a space you return to. Clear intention is not a sentence, but an inner state you can revisit at any time to realign. Each time you feel lost, instead of searching outward, you return to that space where you firmly placed your choice. From that point of return, you refresh your frequency, recalibrate your vibration, and quietly reaffirm your path. No loud reminders are needed, only a steady returning. When you live with clear intention, decisions become simpler, opportunities easier to recognize, and your intuition sharper. You have established a guiding field, and every vibration within you is measured against that direction. If something does not fit, you feel the dissonance immediately. If it does, you sense the smoothness, the effortless flow that opens before you. By contrast, when intention is unclear, you are easily caught in inner conflict. You may say you want change, yet act the same. You may write down desires, yet radiate fear. You may seek answers, yet refuse to act. All of these contradictions scramble your signal, leaving the universe with no coherent response. Divided energy loses its power. Intention does not need endless repetition. It needs consistent living. Once you place it as an inner landmark, you need not repeat it in fear that the universe will forget. What matters is not how many times you say it, but whether you live in alignment with it each day, every choice, every action, every reaction either strengthens or weakens it. And if you hold that alignment, what you have chosen cannot help but appear because you have already become its match. Remember, a river does not form a current without direction, and an energy stream cannot manifest without intention as its foundation. Clarity is the signal the universe cannot ignore. When you live from that state, you no longer ask when your choice will come. You know it has already begun to take shape, not from the outer world, but from the pure space within, where every intention is sent forth not only in words, but in the full vibrational presence of who you are. Faith is the invisible bridge. No vibration can penetrate the subconscious unless it is carried by faith. And no manifestation can take form without that invisible adhesive called certainty. Faith is not a religious notion, nor is it blind positivity. It is the steady current of energy that connects two ends of reality. One end is your present state. The other is the version you are becoming. Every belief you hold is a spiritual bridge. Each time you choose to believe, you step onto that bridge, even if your eyes cannot see it, even if your hands cannot touch it. In the world of energy, faith is the signal of confirmation. You may visualize, feel, and set intentions, but if deep within the subconscious you do not truly believe it is possible, all vibrations will scatter. The universe does not respond to what you say. It responds to the frequency you radiate. And that frequency never surpasses the limit of the faith you hold. Faith is the baseline frequency. It is the invisible frame within which all thoughts, emotions, and actions are confined. You cannot create anything beyond what you believe is possible. Many think they believe, but in truth, they only hope. They want it to happen, but have never truly seen it as a real possibility. They pray, but still carry doubt. They act, but still hold worry. And they do not realize that these conflicting vibrations are why results do not come. For when faith is absent, every signal is out of sync. You cannot walk toward the sun while your eyes remain fixed on the shadows. You cannot receive what you are not yet ready to feel as real. Faith is not something found outside. It is a decision made within. It does not come from circumstances, but from the state you choose to hold inside. Believing is an inner act. It is standing at the edge of the bridge and saying, I do not need to see the destination, for I know I am on the way. It is living without demand for evidence, because the feeling within is already the evidence. Faith is not waiting until you see to believe. It is believing so completely that you no longer need to wait. You live as though it already is, not because someone promised, but because you chose to place yourself in that reality. From that point, every vibration begins to align. No more misalignment between intention and emotion, between action and belief. You no longer need to reassure yourself, for faith has become the very air you breathe. Every small act you take flows from a state of already having not still lacking. Every word you speak carries the energy of certainty, not of seeking. Every moment of your life becomes a declaration to the universe. I am ready, no demand, no force, just the quiet confidence of one who knows they are worthy. Faith does not need to be grand at the start. It can begin with the smallest choices, choosing to trust your own inner sense rather than chasing outside opinions, choosing to hold a positive thought a little longer, even while circumstances remain unchanged, choosing to take one step of action, even when the path ahead is unclear. Each choice strengthens the vibrational bridge between you and what you desire. Each step is a silent command to the universe that you are not only speaking, you are already living it. You will be tested. There will be days when everything seems against you. But remember, faith is not forged in ease. It is strengthened in the moments you keep walking, even without applause, even without immediate results. When you hold faith, not because of circumstances, but despite them, you are sending out the strongest signal the universe cannot ignore. For that vibration is stability, and the universe responds to stability. Once you enter the frequency of faith, you no longer check the clock or measure results anxiously. You live with it in your thoughts, in your emotions, in your daily actions. And you know your choice is on its way, not because you hold it in your hand, but because it cannot fail to come to the one who has merged with its frequency, like a seed planted in moist soil. All it needs is light and time, and it will sprout. No one needs to remind it to grow. It knows where it must go. And so do you. Once you have sown faith into the universe, let alignment do the rest. Do not measure results by what the eyes can see. Measure them by the vibration within. If you are becoming more peaceful, if worry is fading, if you feel abundant even before it arrives, then you are already close, for this is the clearest evidence that faith has taken root. And when faith becomes the foundation, then you no longer ask if it will come, you simply live as though it already belongs to you. And then, like a river finding its way to the sea, what you have chosen will find its way to you. It cannot be otherwise, asking the right way, not begging, but declaring. Have you ever paused and asked yourself, when you plead with the universe for something, what frequency are you really transmitting? Is it trust or is it lack? Is it the energy of a creator or the posture of fear? Perhaps you have prayed hundreds of times, yearning from the depths of your heart, and yet what you wanted has not arrived, not because the universe has not heard you, but because the way you asked, the vibration you radiated at that moment carried a signal very different from what you desired. Can you feel that truth in your own experience? I know you are here, present with this message, not simply to gather more knowledge, but because deep within you, a whisper longs to be heard more clearly, a voice that wants to affirm, you do not need to beg to be granted anything. You do not need to plead with reality, for you are not a bystander in your own life. You are the chooser, and what you need is not to beg, but to declare. Asking the right way is not about using the right words, it is about choosing the right inner state. When you ask with gratitude, you send the signal that you already trust in its existence. When you ask from the frequency of mastery, there is no pleading. You simply affirm. From the position of one who has remembered their creative power, in that moment, your vibration changes entirely. No longer the frequency of longing, but of certainty, no longer the wave of lack, but the flow of one who has chosen and is receiving. You do not need to persuade the universe. The universe has no intent to deny you. It operates by a single principle, to respond precisely to the vibration you emit. When you ask in fear of loss, you are declaring it is not yours. When you ask with doubt, you are affirming you do not believe. You can receive, and the universe will return exactly that. Not what you say, but what you vibrate. Therefore, ask not as the weak, but as the awakened. Try shifting the signal you send. Do not say, "Please give me peace." Say instead, "I choose to live in peace, for peace is my natural essence." Do not say, "I hope for money." Say, "I declare abundance as my reality." Do not say, "I beg for an opportunity." Say, "I welcome every door that opens in alignment with my highest vibration." When you change the language not just in words, but in inner attitude, you change the entire field. You radiate. And once you begin to ask, as one who is ready to receive, rather than one who only hopes, you will see miracles unfold. Not because you control the result, but because you have shifted your foundational vibration. You no longer live in a state of seeking, but in resonance. You no longer reach for it as a distant goal, but live with it as an inner truth. And that is when everything begins to move. Declaration does not mean forcing. It is choosing a reality and broadcasting it with steadiness. Declaration is the heartbeat of one who knows who they are, knows what they are choosing, and lives from that point. It does not require shouting, nor elaborate rituals. It only requires one moment of full alignment between thought, emotion, and belief. From there, every signal you send becomes a vibrational command the universe cannot deny. Yes, old habits will return the urge to beg, to ask in fear, to keep checking for results. But that is precisely when you have the chance to practice a new way of asking, one that comes from fullness, one that comes from remembrance of who you are. And if you return to that state, you will feel a quiet peace spreading within, not because you have grasped everything, but because you have released control, released urgency, released the fear that what you want will not come. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, from today forward, what will I ask? Not as one lacking, but as one ready to receive. What would change if tomorrow you no longer begged, but declared? If you no longer searched for the light outside, but chose to live as though that light were already shining from within you? I know you are listening, and because you are still here, it means you are ready to ask in a new way. Remember, every question sent from the right frequency becomes a sacred invitation into the quantum field. And from that moment, everything aligned will begin to move toward you. Not because you have begged long enough, but because you have chosen the right state from which to send the signal. Thank you for being fully present in this journey. The invitation has been sent, and the door will open as the inevitable response to one who has declared with awakened certainty, "Let go of control and trust the process." Control is the natural reflex of a mind that feels uncertain. It seeks to grip everything tightly, to dictate the outcome, to force the process into what it deems reasonable. Yet the universe does not operate according to the linear thinking of man. It does not submit to the schedule of the ego. It moves in harmony with the frequency you transmit. And here lies the paradox. The more you try to control, the more you emit the vibration of mistrust, the harder you push things to go your way, the clearer the signal you send that you doubt the process already unfolding. That resistance slows down or even completely diverts the very manifestation you are moving toward. Letting go of control is not passivity. It is the conscious choice of an inner state of steadiness where you know you have already sent out the right signal. And now your task is not to meddle with the result, but to maintain alignment with what you have chosen. When you release, you are not abandoning. You are allowing energy to arrange itself, allowing every particle of reality to move in the perfect order you cannot predict with logic. Like planting a seed in the soil, you cannot keep digging it up to see if it has sprouted. You tend, you water, You let in the light, and you trust the seed knows what to do. The creative process is no different. Trust in the process is not blind. It is vibrational wisdom. Once you have radiated the frequency that matches your choice, once you have held belief, once you have declared in alignment, there is no need to check endlessly. What you desire has already begun its journey toward you, not in a straight line, but through hidden pathways the conscious mind cannot foresee. The people you meet, the circumstances that arise, even the small setbacks are all part of this unfolding, for everything can be used to reconfigure reality in alignment with the vibration you are broadcasting. What usually drives people into control is anxiety over time. When results do not appear immediately, doubt arises. When no clear signal is visible, they want to do more. I think more, interfere more. But every act born of fear knocks the vibration off center. Reality does not respond to restlessness, it resonates only with stability. And only when you step fully into release do you come into harmony with the process already in motion. You do not need to know every step you need, only to trust that each step is being guided flawlessly. True surrender is when you no longer need to prove yourself right in haste. You do not need confirmation. You do not need instant evidence, because the conviction within is strong enough. In this state, you do not act out of fear. You act out of inspiration. You do not scan circumstances to see if they are working. You adjust your inner rhythm to remain steady. And the wonder is this: when you stop demanding results to appear in your way, they begin to arrive in ways you never imagined. Sometimes the manifestation does not unfold in the form you pictured. That does not mean the process is wrong. It may be choosing a path that is faster, more efficient, less costly one that you simply cannot see yet. When you control, you distort that natural flow. When you release, you open the field to hundreds of scenarios your ordinary mind could never compose. And it is within that space that the greatest miracles occur. Letting go is the highest expression of faith. Not faith because you have seen, but faith so complete you no longer need to see. You no longer live in preparation for it to come. You live as though it is already here. Each day you hold the posture of one who has received, not one who is waiting. And this makes the process smooth. No more resistance, no more inner conflict, only a stream of energy that is coherent and strong. That stream is the foundation upon which your chosen reality takes form. This is not something you do once and forget. Letting go is an art. You practice daily. Each time worry arises, return to the feeling of trust. Each time you feel the urge to force, take a deep breath and remember, the universe knows the way. Each time you feel disconnected, close your eyes and sense your chosen reality as present now. From that state, everything you do radiates from stability, not chaos. Reality does not need you to control it. It needs you to hold the right vibration. Every attempt to control only drains your energy and creates separation. But when you release, you rejoin the intelligent current that governs the universe. You cease to be the one straining at the helm and become the one aligned with the wind. And from that place, you no longer chase what you desire because it has already begun its way toward you, as natural and certain as the laws of creation themselves. Learning to receive the art of acceptance. Receiving is the final stage. Yet it is also where most people stumble in their journey of co-creation. They have learned to visualize. They have practiced belief. They have released control. But when what they desire begins to draw near, they do not know how to open themselves to receive it. Rejection does not always come from the outside. More often, it rises from within, from a mind still hesitant, from emotions still timid, from a subconscious that has not yet accepted its own worthiness. Receiving is not a passive act, it is a profound art. It requires the strength to not resist the gift that the universe is sending. You cannot receive what exceeds the image you hold of yourself. If within you there still lingers the feeling of being not good enough, not ready enough, not worthy enough, then even if what you desire appears before you, you will find ways to avoid it, delay it, or push it away. The art of receiving begins with updating your self-identity. You must see yourself as one who is fit for it, as one who naturally lives in the state you are reaching toward. You cannot receive true love if deep inside you still believe you cannot sustain a lasting relationship. You cannot receive abundance if you still carry shame or guilt about money. Receiving does not happen in the hands, it happens in the deeper dimension where you truly believe that it is normal for you to have it. Receiving also requires the dismantling of your defenses. Many have become so accustomed to preparing for disappointment that when goodness arrives, they assume it is a trap. They doubt, analyze, delay, and in doing so, they return their vibration to the very point they started from. But you cannot live in the state of desiring something and at the same time build walls against it. You must choose. Either you are ready to receive with your whole heart, or you continue to close the door out of fear of being hurt. And this choice is not in your words. It pulses in every beat of your inner life. Receiving is also a deeply active practice. It is not simply waiting for something to happen, but living with the energy as though it has already arrived. When you change the way you speak, the way you act, the way you treat yourself, you are creating an environment where the gift you long for can arrive and remain. You do not receive with your hands, but with your entire state of being. And from that state, you no longer wait for it, for you are already living in its flow. The practice of receiving extends to your ability to accept help, kindness, and support from others without shame or guilt. When someone wishes to help, when opportunity knocks, when unexpected goodness appears, do you allow yourself to enjoy it, or do you push it aside, believing you are unworthy? Even something as small as accepting a compliment is a test of your capacity to receive. Those unfamiliar with receiving quickly dismiss it or downplay themselves. But those who truly know how to receive smile, give thanks, and let the energy flow through them naturally. They do not cling. They do not fear loss. They simply allow it as part of life's stream. Receiving does not demand complicated action. At times, it is simply allowing yourself to feel joy, sufficiency, and peace, even before the outer evidence appears. It is an inner posture you choose, not a reward. You wait to be granted. And in that very state, what you desire will find its way to you. For energy needs no reason to flow where it is welcomed. It only needs a clear signal that the vessel is ready, able to hold, sustain, and resonate. That signal does not come from circumstances. It comes from you. This is the power of voice within, not merely a voice you hear, but the inner space you return to. When you truly receive, you no longer require proof. You return to that inner dwelling where all is already complete. It is like coming home to a room you have always belonged to. You do not knock. You do not ask permission. You simply enter because you know this place is yours. And that energy, the energy of returning, is the very key that allows life's most beautiful gifts to manifest with ease. Look closely at yourself. Perhaps you have taken every step, yet still hold a thin layer of invisible resistance when what you want approaches. Perhaps you have not yet allowed yourself to feel that joy. Ask yourself, am I truly permitting what I desire to come? Do I see myself as one who can live with it comfortably? If the answer is uncertain, then know this: the work ahead is not more action, but the releasing of old beliefs that block the flow of receiving. When you no longer stand in your own way, Reality will no longer delay. Receiving is the final. Yet the most delicate part of the journey of creation, it is the act of opening the last door, not with effort, but with readiness, not through struggle, but through feeling. And once you begin to live from that state, you will see that what you have chosen is no longer something to pursue. It simply becomes a natural part of the life you are living, like breath, like light, like the heartbeat of the very universe within you, facing challenges, the art of realignment of vibration. A challenge is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. It is a signal that your vibration is calling for realignment. For every time you step closer to what you have chosen, every layer of energy that no longer fits must rise to the surface to be seen, felt, and released. Challenges do not arrive to punish you. They arrive to give you the opportunity to synchronize yourself with a higher reality. Every reaction, every emotion, every thought that surfaces in moments of difficulty is a precious signal, revealing the vibration that is truly operating within you. And when you dare to face it rather than flee, and you discover that the challenge does not break you, it refines you. It becomes a subtle test, helping you adjust your frequency in the right direction. When an obstacle appears, many rush to conclude that what they desire is not meant for them, or that the universe has closed the door. They react out of fear, and in doing so, they disconnect themselves from the very state of trust they once held. But a challenge is not an ending. It is a passage. It is the space between the old version of you and the new version being born. And if you are awake enough to observe rather than resist, you will see a rare opportunity to recalibrate yourself from within. In every triggered emotion, every limiting belief that arises, every fleeting sense of helplessness, there is a doorway inviting you to reset the very vibration you are emitting. Realignment does not come from controlling circumstances, but from shifting inner states. You cannot change the world while vibrating at the same frequency as the problem. Yet you can transform your entire experience by consciously shifting your emotions, thoughts, and responses to the challenge before you. When you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and begin asking, "What within me is this reflecting?" For you step out of victimhood and into creatorship. From that moment on, you no longer fight the challenge. You use it as a lever to raise your vibration to a higher plane. No challenge is greater than you. It only carries as much weight as the energy you bring to it. Look at it through the eyes of fear, and it will grow immense. Look at it as an invitation to awaken, and it becomes opportunity. When you feel lost, when everything seems to contradict what you have chosen, that is the very moment you are being called inward to ask, what vibration am I broadcasting right now? Have I drifted away from trust? Am I allowing old emotions to dictate my actions? Am I clinging to outcomes instead of maintaining inner alignment? And if the answer is yes, then nothing outside you needs to change. You need only return to your purest state, where intention and vibration are one. Realignment is a journey back to essence. It is not about fixing what is wrong. It is about releasing what no longer serves. Sometimes all it takes is a single pause, ceasing to react, ceasing to explain, ceasing to resist, and instead simply breathing deeply and allowing yourself to feel in that pause, your vibration shifts entirely, clarity returns, the challenge ceases to be a barrier and becomes a mirror. And in that mirror, you see yourself being reshaped, expanded, and aligned more perfectly with what you have chosen. Remember, old energy does not leave quietly. It will cry out one last time, "Stir false chaos," make you doubt everything just to see if you are truly ready to step into a higher vibration. If you react, you return to the old cycle. if you recognize, you break free. And if you hold steady in the new state, you do not just overcome the challenge, you become someone new, clearer, steadier, stronger. A challenge is an uninvited companion, but it always carries a gift. The gift of repositioning, the gift of refinement, the gift of being forced to re-examine the vibrational system that has created the reality you now live. And the moment you accept this, avoidance fades. You realize every challenge is a necessary rhythm of balance. You no longer pray for life to be smooth forever, because you understand that a life without challenge is a life without growth. When challenges arise, do not resist. Step back half a pace. Look inward and ask, what within me is calling for adjustment? Sometimes it is a limiting belief, sometimes a dormant fear, sometimes a piece of ego still refusing to let go. And when you see it clearly, you hold the key. From that moment, every practice, whether breathing, visualizing, affirming, or cultivating gratitude, multiplies in effectiveness. For you are using it from a place of clarity. You are no longer trying to change the world, you are transforming yourself. And when you transform, the world will rearrange itself to match the new frequency you emit. That is the essence of vibrational realignment, not to avoid challenge, but to pass through it as a greater version of yourself, more grounded, more elevated, and more whole than ever before. You are no longer the student. You are the creator. You have traveled an entire journey, not through intellect alone, but through awareness, from realizing that the universe is a mirror of vibration, to understanding that everything is nothing more than energy resonating with the frequency you emit. You have walked through the waves of emotion. You have seen the misalignment between words and vibration. You have learned to synchronize yourself with what you desire through pure presence and complete feeling. And now, there is nothing more to learn, no higher technique to master. For what you have sought was never outside. It has always been the energy you are radiating in this very moment. You are no longer the student. You are the creator. And not in a symbolic sense, but in the truest meaning of the word. You are not learning to know more. You are remembering what you have always known. You no longer need to search for the light outside, for you have become that light. What you once begged for, you now radiate. What you once thought of as a goal, you now understand as reflection. You have moved past the stage of needing guidance, for you are now guiding your own reality by the vibration you choose to maintain. At this point, you no longer ask, how do I manifest what I desire? Instead, you ask, how do I sustain the state of already having it? You no longer crave so deeply that you lose the present moment. You have learned to live as if it already is. And from that state, you no longer need to compel the universe to respond, for, it cannot not respond. The moment you live as one who already has, the universe reorganizes everything around you to align every opportunity, every relationship, every flow of money, every dimension of health, even every disruption. Each is an instant response to the energy you are transmitting. There is no longer passive waiting, but a constant exchange between your inner state and your reality. You have learned not only to affirm with words, but to affirm with presence, not only to visualize with the mind, but to envision with every cell of feeling, not only to believe when you see with your eyes, but to believe when nothing outside has yet changed. For you know, reality is not the cause, it is the effect. And you are the cause. You are the source where all vibration begins. When you choose a state, reality cannot fail to respond. This is the place where you no longer learn to test, but live to confirm. You no longer worry if what you desire will come. You know that everything unfolding is the precise reflection of the state of consciousness you now inhabit. The Creator does not need to strain to control reality. They need only keep their inner state pure, steady, and aligned. They do not force the flow. They are the flow. They do not push reality toward themselves. They open the space for it to arrive. By ceasing to struggle and beginning to live from stillness, they allow everything they have chosen to appear naturally, unforced, unbounded by time or circumstance. This is not theory. This is the very mechanism by which the universe operates. Designed through frequency, as a creator, you do not fear delay, for you no longer live in waiting. You live in the state of already having. You no longer bind your identity to outcomes, but to inner consistency. And when you maintain that consistency, reality must reveal its corresponding form. This is the end of seeking and the beginning of mastery. From here, you do not accumulate more knowledge, you embody it. Through every act, every thought, every vibration you radiate each day. The student says, I want to believe. The Creator says, I live from belief. The student says, I hope it happens. The Creator says, I live as if it already is. The student looks outward to measure progress. The Creator looks inward to recalibrate. The difference is not in tools, but in states of consciousness. And once you cross that threshold, everything you once pursued becomes the very energy you are naturally radiating. You do not need anyone to certify your readiness. The only proof is the way you live each day. You do not need immediate manifestation to trust, for trust itself is the first manifestation. You do not need miracles from outside, for you have become the miracle. You no longer use words to describe reality, you use energy to recreate it. And each morning when you awaken, you no longer ask, what must I do today to achieve what I want? You ask, who must I be today to live it fully from within? You have become the Creator, not by knowledge, but by daily choice, the choice to rise above reaction when temptation arises, the choice to remain in trust when evidence is absent, the choice to live from love rather than fear, the choice to be present instead of controlling. And with every choice, you are not only transforming your life, you are transforming the very field around you. For you are not merely creating personal reality, you are resonating with a new plane of human consciousness, a plane where man is no longer victim to circumstance, but creator in fullness, clarity, and responsibility for every vibration he sends forth. And from that place, there is nothing left to learn, only one thing left to do, to live as though you already are the person you once dreamed of becoming. Because the truth is, you are that person. You have always been, and you are returning, step by step, breath by breath, into that very essence of creation itself. If you have reached the very end, then you are no longer a seeker of light. You have discovered yourself as the very source of that light. Every vibration you choose not only rewrites your future, but also opens the door for higher realms of reality to manifest. You are no longer the student. You are the creator. You do not need anyone's recognition, for the universe itself will serve as the living testimony of the state you sustain. Live as though what you desire is already true. Walk as though every cell within you is a declaration of light, of love, of prosperity. No further conditions are required. No additional time is needed, for you are already prepared, and reality now waits for only one thing, a clear signal from you. Live as though you have already become what you once longed for, most, because that is who you are.